I guess we can go ahead and get started. It
Yes,
is
PK.
All right. It is 10:01, November 15, 2024. Good morning, everybody. Thank y'all for choosing to be with us on a Friday morning. My name is Dina Capone, the Director of Local Technical Assistance Program Center, which is part of the Louisiana Transportation Research Center over here at LSU in Baton Rouge. Welcome to the Local Road Safety Program Project Pre-Application virtual call for projects. So we have officially opened a new window for project pre-apps to be accepted. The new deadline is January 31st of next year. It's going to be here before we know it. You know, Thanksgiving is around the corner, and then it's Christmas, and then it's going to be New Year. So LTAP administers the local road safety program in partnership with the DOT, the Highway Safety Section. Along with me on this call is Leo Moretta. He is our LRSP manager at LTAP. And I see over at DOT, the Highway Safety Section, Carrie Weibold is on the call, and I believe Adrian as well and her team. So thank you all. Leo will be doing most of the talking today as he walks you through the project pre-app phase, the project development phase, and of course, what projects are eligible to be funded through the program. We are really working toward making this whole process to be as less complicated and as as easy as possible for y'all, especially for those municipalities and parishes that have limited manpower and resources, and for our industry experts as well who are working with local governments to get those projects funded through the LRSP. So before we move on, I would like to ask you a little favor. If you could please type up your name and agency in the chat pod, that would be so appreciated. Also, I would like to encourage you all to type your questions in, or we can wait till the end of the presentation and you can speak up. You can unmute yourself and talk if you'd prefer to do that. So, what's our agenda for today, Leo?
All right, here we go. Today, we're going to be talking about the local road safety program and specifically how to get into the flow for funding for your local road safety projects. The agenda, we're going to talk a little bit about the program's background and the guidelines that we follow. And then we're going to walk through the pre-application letter of intent, which is a step towards the application itself. But it starts the conversation and opens the door for technical assistance and subject matter experts to weigh in on your particular problem. So it's a dialogue between between us here at LTAP and you guys with your specific locations or places of interest so that we can help you with the next step is the application itself. We'll go do a quick overview of that. We'll talk a little bit about how projects get selected to move forward in the process. And then we'll talk about project implementation. So unless anybody has any questions to start with, we will go ahead and start talking about the program background. Dina, I see there's people still lining up to be admitted. So that's
Yes,
good.
I'm taking care of that. Yes, as we speak.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. With regards to the background, the program background, it's data driven safety improvement program. And the idea is that you have to document the existence of a safety concern. Most typically, that's done by looking at your crash data. When a law enforcement official arrives to a crash scene, they document everything, and all of those crash reports get gathered up and passed through carts at LSU, where they clean them up and turn it into a data set that we're able to use to do data analysis around safety issues. And lots more of that to come in the next couple of slides. Our goal is to reduce fatalities and serious injuries on locally owned roadways. By locally owned, we mean municipal, parish, tribal, not state roads. So if you're LA 1 or if you're US 90 or if you're some other state road, I mean that the state's responsible for safety on those roadways. We do the other side. We do the local side, parishes and municipalities. So that speaks directly to eligibility, parish, municipality, tribe. and their roadways. And then we're federally funded, DOTD administered, and there's no local match required, which is a big plus. Most federal programs will require some sort of a local match. So we're unique in that regards. Um, we seek to implement the Louisiana Highway Strategic Safety Plan. Its vision is to reach 0 deaths on all roadways, and its mission is to reduce any sort of economic and human toll on our transportation system to a data-driven, collaborative, integrated 4E approach. And the 4Es are education, enforcement, emergency response, and engineering. They all work together and are all equally important. And it's a situation where it's collaborative. We kind of tend towards the engineering side of that for obvious reasons. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. The Strategic Highway Safety Implementation Team has narrowed the focus down for our state into 4 emphasis areas that you see here. Behavior modification are the first 3, distracted driving, impaired driving, and occupant protection. And those emphasis areas, as well as infrastructure and operations, are all based on reviewing the latest crash data, looking for common trends, the most frequent type of crashes and correlation between all of those emphasis areas. So those are our 4 emphasis areas, and the local road safety program works within the infrastructure and operations emphasis area. And we do that by focusing on lane and roadway departure, intersection safety, and bicycle and pedestrian safety. The program supports the goals of the SHSP to reduce fatalities on all roadways, and particularly on city and local and rural roads. And we encourage low-cost safety projects such as delineation of curves, rumble strips, pavement markings, enhanced signing, flashing beacons, oversized stop signs, and more. And we'll go into some of those. But the idea is it has to, if a project is to be part of the local road safety program, it has to address these issues here. It has to talk about addressing a safe SHSP priority. It has to be identified through the data-driven process. It has to target an identified safety issue, and the idea is to reduce fatalities and serious injuries. So we do look at the seriousness of a crash and try and focus on the stuff that lends itself to the higher end of that with fatalities and serious injuries. Although sometimes we do look at property damage only in crashes with the idea is that if you're not wearing your seatbelt, or if there's another problem with some of that behavioral modification, what had started out as a property damage only crash could certainly escalate. So first off, we're going to talk about the program guidelines, or secondly now, the guidelines for the program or as you see here, the letter of intent window closes on January 31st, which only gives us February, March, and April to work with you guys as local jurisdictions to turn it into a full-blown application for you. That application window closes on May 1st, and we're going to try and get to the project selection committee, have them consider those applications around mid-July. And approval is subject to DOTD's feasibility study and program funding allocations. So from the slide, obviously we administrate the application process on the LTAP side, local technical assistance program. We're in touch with all of the folks that are in the parishes and municipalities, their project engineer, parish engineers, and their public works directors and so forth. And we work with those guys. We provide technical assistance and training support for folks that are interested in our program and have a safety problem. If it doesn't work out that it's falls under our purview as far as funding is concerned, we are pretty good conduit to other sources of funding and other sources of expertise and technical assistance. So we're a funnel, and some of it lands in our pot, and uses our money, but a lot of times we're able to refer people and sort of shortcut that process. They know what's going on, but they don't know what the solution might be, and need subject matter experts or technical assistance. So we provide that function. The project selection committee is made up of DOTD, FHWA, Police Jury Association of Louisiana, Louisiana Municipal Association, uh, Louisiana uh, engineers and parish engineers and supervisors association. I'm used to the acronym LPESA, and representatives from LTAP. And the selected applications that come through that selection committee, they are received by DOT safety section, and then they have a feasibility study. They get into a budgeting process, engineering design begins, and that leads to construction. And you should recognize that this is not like you apply and you immediately get the ground to break ground on your project. It's a 3 to 5 year turnaround in some cases. And so it's important to get that pipeline full so that as one project gets completed, you have another one following closely behind that. So this is an iterative process where what you're interested in is keeping that pipeline full so that you have projects coming out and going in on a regular basis. Uh, More guidance, it's locally owned roadways only, not state roads. The funding's 100% federal, no match required. TOTD has consulting engineers to do all the work, the design, engineering, and construction. There's no maximum cost limitation. But if your project comes in over 500,000, we do have to do a benefit cost analysis, and we can help you with that. So it's something that gets derived from the process once we start nailing down the parts of the application and the scope and all of that stuff. And we typically get projects come to our attention through one of the following methods. And these methods are kind of already vetted and already have some weight because of where they come from. And you'll see as I go through that these are the ones that you can go to right away and have a project that has a pretty good chance of falling in under our guidelines. So obviously, yeah, the local road safety profiles, it's a data analysis that we've done 3 times now. And the current one is we looked at the crash data from 2017 to 2021, and each parish has a profile, and we'll talk some more about that. But if your roadway falls within that profile, there's a pretty good chance that we can find some way to help with safety on those roadways. Same thing if you've done an FHWA style local road safety plan. With our help or with the help of the regional safety coordinators, many of these plans have been done, especially around the top 20 parishes. But if a roadway is picked, highlighted in that safety plan and prioritized by the jurisdiction, there's a pretty good chance that we have some data to back it up and that we're able to go forward with those. There's also the USDOTD with the new pot of money that's come down through the bipartisan infrastructure law. And the part of that law that talks about roadway safety is Safe Streets for All, SS4A. And if you have an action plan that was derived through that process, providing that it's data driven, if you have the data to support your streets and roadways that you want addressed, and you've called them out in this action plan, there's a pretty good chance that we can work with you on those. And this is an 80-20 split program, so there's a local match of 20%, but that doesn't mean that the projects that you've identified necessarily have to be funded through this particular SS4A program. You could use those to come to us and get 100% funding, providing it's data driven and it meets our requirements. But that's another source of projects that's already kind of out of the box. You just lift those right off the plan and we start writing an application. A lot of folks have bicycle and ped plans, vulnerable road users, terminology we're using nowadays. But if those plans have a safety component, we certainly want to help with those, and they should. That that whole process with the bike ped plans are evolving. It used to just be lines on a map, and then there was the idea of connectivity, and then there was safe routes to school and trying to make things work together. But all of those should have a safety component, and if they don't, you can always update that, and you can apply, and we can help you with safety stuff based on vulnerable road users. Um, there's a lot of documents that you'll have as a parish or a municipality that or transportation planning documents. This is a copy of Baton Rouge's Move BR. It's their long range plan through 2046. It looks like it was completed in March of 2022. But there's projects on there that have a safety component. Or that kind of intersect the roadways in the plan might also be part of the roadways that are called out on the profile. And the more that the roadways that you've identified through these processes and these plans that we just talked about intersect around safety, if they're in the profile or if they're called out in another document, then we definitely need to talk. Here's something that the districts have been doing. It's called a district DOTD District Safety Investment Plan. So far, Lafayette, Monroe, Lake Charles, and Alexandria have those. The rest of them are in the works, from what I understand. But if a local road is called out in this particular format, it's going to have a safety component. It was part of the requirements for writing these plans. And if it's a local road, now you've got a project and you need some funding, come see us, because these are, sort of blessed already. They've already been identified and prioritized, and they're ready to go. So you don't have to go looking for projects. Although we definitely want you to use your information that you've derived, because you're the ones that are out there and driving these roads and interacting with the people that do. Jurisdictions and parishes and municipalities can confirm our insights, because data is just one part of the picture. Law enforcement and anecdotal information from the parish engineer, certainly what we're looking for is a consensus across all of these documents and all of these sources to come up with some projects for our program, as well as others that we can steer you to. So we're not the only pot of money, but we're 100%, and if you want, we can start here, and if it doesn't fit, we can find you a different pot. All right. Any questions before we talk a little bit more about the profiles? That was kind of just a really quick overview.
I don't see any question in the chat pod for now.
Okay, we'll roll on then. We're going to focus on projects derived from LTAP's local road safety profiles because the data-driven nature of our program requires us to look at crashes, and this is our particular data analysis vehicle that we share with everybody. Every parish in the state has a profile. The top 20 actually have a profile and a text description and explanation, but you at least get the spreadsheet, which is the heart of the profile. There's one for every parish, and the municipalities are included in the parish. So everybody, every parish, every municipality has some representation on one of these local road safety profiles. We've done 3. The first one we did with the data from 2010 to 2014. We've updated it once in the middle there, 2014 to 2016. And then our latest one, which was just released recently, covers crash data from 2017 to 2021. And the local road screening is based on the frequency of crashes. And so when a law enforcement official writes a crash report anywhere in the state, they go to CARTs at LSU, where they're compiled into a database, and then we conduct a data analysis. It gives us insight into how each roadway or intersection is performing in terms of safety. That bottom bullet, the crash type outliers, are identified by comparing the occurrence to parish averages, and we'll take a look, see what that means. Before we do that, don't forget, anything that we talk about or put in writing that has anything to do with crash data has to have this disclaimer on it. And basically, as a parish or a municipality or a state, it protects you from the the billboard lawyers and the folks that want to turn this into some litigious situation. Our goal is to help safety, not to help the folks that are figuring things out as far as the law is concerned. We want to get ahead of all of that and prevent those crashes, but make sure that you include this disclaimer. More on that you can get from the safety section at DOTD or from me, but this is the standard form for that. 23 U.S. Code 407. All right, so back to the profile there. These outliers in the comparison to parish averages, that's what this spreadsheet is. It's the heart of all of the stuff this is the analysis itself. You'll have all of the roadways called out and the ranking in the parish. So if it's the worst road in the parish, it'll be number one, obviously. And in this case, we randomly selected a route in the rural section of Tangipahoa Parish called Esterbrook Road. And it had a total of 27 total crashes. And this was from the profile from 2010 to 2014. And then the real meat of this are those red squares that you see. And if you look at the top, the column headings tell you about the types of crashes and the most harmful events that are associated with that type of crash and so forth. So you're getting all of that data crunched down into this particular roadway has an overrepresentation of 3.3% higher than the parish average for head-on collisions. And non-collisions means run off the road. So you have a lane departure and a road departure issue on this particular road. Side swipe opposite direction, again, a lane departure issue. When they run off the road, they're running into culverts and ditches and trees. So you kind of get an idea of what's going on Esterbrook Road. And so from there, what do you do with that? Well, we match the crash types from that profile to specific countermeasures that have been proven to help with those situations, the situations we find at high crash locations. And they're selected from the FHWA proven safety countermeasures, and that's what our program, local road safety program, focuses on: low cost, highly effective countermeasures. We match the crash types from the profile to specific countermeasures that have been proven to help in those types of situations. And we have this chart here, which is kind of a summation, but we kind of drill down even further and say these are like our typical countermeasures that we employ for our program. And you can see what they are in the categories. And we concentrate on roadway departure, intersection, and pedestrian bicycle as dictated from the SHSP. And finally, drilling down even further, these are our preferred countermeasures. These are the ones that we know are needed in our state, and we use them, the majority of the time. What you see here has a little summary that talks about the four types that we use: advanced curve signs and chevrons, retroreflectivity upgrades for stop signs, and systemic improvements, whether it's doubling up on the stop signs or putting a better stop bar or whatever is necessary at stop intersections. And then the whole idea of upgrading the pavement markings with regards to retroreflectivity and durability. We have a lot of old stripes out there, and some of them just totally not effective anymore. And you can see like the crash modification factors or the crash reduction factors, that's a percent column. And you can see that these, reduced by 27% just by adding curve signs and chevrons. That's a pretty high bang for your buck. Same thing with the retroreflectivity marking on the striping. That's 24% reduction in crashes. So in the cost, I mean, if you look at the cost, they're low cost, highly efficient countermeasures. And so that's kind of what we're really aiming for. Those are the type of things that we would like to do for those roadways that are identified in the profile for your jurisdiction. And again, if we, just a stopping point, if we had some questions, now would be a good time about any of that stuff, because now we're about to launch into, how am I doing on time, Dina? Now we're about to launch into the heart of the matter. How do you get that money?
We're good.
We're good. Any questions in the chat pod? Anybody live want to ask a question? If not, we'll just push on through. Okay, we're going to talk about what we call our pre-application letter of intent. This was started as an attempt to keep the application process simple and accessible to folks in jurisdictions that didn't necessarily have a grant writer or parish engineer or somebody whose full-time job it was to find money for safety. This starts the conversation between the jurisdiction and LTAP, where we can bring to bear all of the resources that we know of to try and help. And, you know, this opens the door to us even sitting with you and writing the application if need be. And so let's go through this real quick. It's a 3-pager, and we work on it. We recently updated it, so we'll talk a little bit about what we updated too. But the idea is to make it as simple as possible to open that door and start that conversation. You go to our website up here, ltop.org, louisianaltop.org, I should say. And the application document, you just click there and it downloads a Word document that we're going to walk through right now. Now, here is where I have to vary a little bit. We started last week. The way to do this was the first page of the letter of intent talked about, you know, we need this information, particularly the idea of being in responsible charge. I need to go back on that now and switch my screen and show you what the new one looks like, because we've managed to open up a new method for, can you guys see with the highlighted screen there, the pre-application letter of intent?
Yes.
All right. So it went from what it said before, where we required somebody to be in responsible charge. Now, all we need at the pre-application stage is the parish or municipalities, an employee that we can contact on a regular basis as we develop an application. So that's, again, an attempt to streamline what you're going to have to do there. So we need that person, and we need the highest elected official or whoever has legal authority to enter into a contract to sign. And that gets you in the door. Now, once you've got those 2 signatures, we're able to start talking about the letter of intent, talks about the project information. What road are you interested in? Did it come pick some from the profile or from the district safety plan or wherever whatever the road, give us the road name. We talk about, we need the beginning coordinates, and we have a video that we're going to post that shows you how to get the coordinates right out of Google Earth that you can pop in here for the beginning and the ending of that particular roadway. And because it's a Word form, you can just click and add, where's that, insert, rows below, and you can put as many roads as you want. So that's why it comes as a Word document. And so if you have a profile with 20 roads and you want to do them all, this is what you do. Now, if it's not a roadway that you're worried about, if it's an intersection or multiple intersections, it's the same concept. Major roadway, minor roadway. And what is the method? What is the stop control? Is it 2-way stop? Is it multi-way stop? Is it signal controlled? And if it is, who maintains the signal and who maintains the timing? So now, say you have a roadway, obviously it's going to have some intersections. You may want to put the road and then the intersections along that road so that we evaluate those. And that would be the way that you would do that. The same thing, you could add your rows and just continue on. And then we'd be able to take those coordinates and start looking at it and addressing that and looking at our data and start talking, having a conversation and saying, this is what we're seeing is going on there. So we need that for the roadway and the intersection. The next thing you do right here, Can y'all see that? Describe the safety issue occurring at the location. This doesn't have to be an engineering speak. This can just be straightforward text saying, we've had some crashes, we've had some complaints, we think we have a safety issue. Um, Let us know if it shows up in the profile or in any other data analysis, but just in layman's terms, something that we can kind of say, this is what we think's going on there. Include a map or a sketch, and then answer a few questions. Do you have a local road safety plan? We want to help anybody that wants to, any jurisdiction that wants to make a local road safety plan. So let's go ahead and ask that. And if you do, attach a link or an electronic copy, and then talk about if the locations you've selected are in the local road safety plan. And if they are, give us a page number so that we can kind of get to it quickly. And also check the most recent parish profile and let us know about that. Locally generated information. If the locations aren't in the local road safety plan or the parish profile, but you have other anecdotal information or information that you can use to support that, that's where you would talk about that. Is it in your parish transportation planning documents? Is it something that's come up through law enforcement? Or is it something, just whatever information that you have to supplement? And then, you know, we want to know if you think there's a particular countermeasure that you think fits. We'll vet that, but you can always talk to us about that and give us an idea of what you're thinking, and let us know if it's in any of these documents. And that's it as far as what you have to provide to get the ball rolling. The rest of it is, fill in as much as you can. The items with asterisks are required, basically the signatures and the roadways that you're interested in, and we can help with the rest. So fill it in as much as you can. If not, call us and we can do all sorts of things to help. We have lots of resources, and here's kind of a list of some of them: network screening analysis, road safety assessments. We can help with countermeasure selection and look at the crash factors and so forth. And so we're there to help. And so that's the new form. Y'all are the first people to have to see that. And we wanted to let you see the 3-page form. Well, 3 pages of blanks that you have to fill in. But that was the idea of doing the abbreviated form. So I'm going to switch back to my presentation now, but that was a preview, something that we launched today. Thanks to Carrie and the safety section over at DOTD. We've streamlined it down to this point.
And Leo, I want to emphasize that that form is already on our website, hot off the press. It's been updated as of this morning.
Excellent. And now can you guys see the pre-application letter of intent overview slide there? Is that what y'all are seeing? Okay, I see people shaking their heads. Thanks. Yes. All right, we're going to skip a couple slides here because I had prepared this with the old document. Oh, by the way, this is where you get it from. You go to our website, louisianaltop.org, and that's the button right there that gives you that Word document. We can skip all of that because we don't have responsible charge as just yet. It's coming, but not yet. Same thing there. We can skip all of that. All right, let's go to the application unless you have any questions on the pre-app. Check the chat pod. Anybody wants to raise their hand or just unmute and call out. This is the time to ask questions, and we'll give you a chance at the end too. So that's the pre-app, and the idea is to make it as simple as possible for jurisdictions that don't really have the wherewithal, the manpower, the time, the money, or whatever to get this done.
I have a question for you.
Hi.
Yes. Hi. Hey, how are you?
Good.
So we have our local safety road plan that was completed in 2016. And I know what you said is, it has to be on the plan. The road has to be on the plan for us to be able to add it on the application. We want to update our safety plan, but
yes,
I'm curious as to how much we need to do. Can we just change out and add some streets on the safety plan, or do we need to have some more extensive, do we have to have a consultant to, do a whole new study or I mean, how would you recommend us updating our plan?
All right. And you're Tangipahoa, St. Tammany?
St. Tammany.
St. Tammany. Okay. Yes, yours is one of our oldest plans, which was great, which means you're an early adopter, which is wonderful.
Okay.
Lots has changed since then. We're hoping that
Right.
some of the projects that we funded have come to fruition and hopefully have changed the trend lines for crashes on those particular roadways. We've done many analysis, like as you saw with the profiles, since that plan was put together. So basically, some of the roads are going to change. And so we need to look at the data.
Yeah.
And the text itself, we can update that. And it's kind of the FHWA gives you a laundry list of these are the chapters and this is the way to put it together. And it's not really rocket science. Sorry, consulting community, but I think that
Yeah.
you could probably handle it on your own.
That's what I was
We're
wondering.
willing to
Okay.
help. And I've actually had examples of some consulting engineering firms who've worked with jurisdictions pro bono to put this list together. So don't, I'm not meaning to say that you can't go that route, but we don't think it's rocket science, and we're willing to help. Your regional safety coordinators are also uh, trained or in the loop on that and how to do that. That's originally how we rolled out the idea of doing local road safety plans. Um, we definitely want to help you update that because we'll get some new roadways and some new project applications out of it.
Okay.
And did I miss
Yeah.
anything, Dina? Or did I answer the question? I got rambling there.
Yeah, you did. You answered the
Okay.
question. So I
So
would
it is a
suggest
good question.
we do a follow-up meeting with you, Jan, and discuss the how we proceed
Okay.
with updating your plan.
Okay.
And
Perfect.
yeah.
One more point. I knew there was something I was missing. You guys are part of an SS4A planning grant, is my understanding.
I think so.
That thing
We are.
should mesh really closely with what the SS4A is USDOTD, and they have like a list of chapters that they want to include. Their odd one out is like an equity chapter, which is a good thing to have. And the FHWA is a little older model, and it's data driven, and it doesn't have the equity component, but maybe it should. So I think that those two can pretty much merge. And for the purposes of the local road safety program, if your SS4A plan is data driven, it would carry the same sort of weight. So you may already have this in the works and the feds have already paid for it.
Okay.
And
We are
then,
on the SS4A grant with RPC, so we should have something. I got a draft of it, I think last week, so they're getting close to being finished with that.
cool. And then the
Oh,
more
that's good.
interaction that you guys at the parish have with the consulting coordinating engineering firm, the better. And if you make sure that they're doing data analysis, they'll know how to do the data analysis for the roadways, for your local roads that would suffice to get into our program. So they really should be coming together. Those two streams are coming together.
Yep.
Anything
you.
else on that?
I think that's it. Thank you so much.
You probably answered one of my slides coming up, but that's okay. All right, here we go. Let's launch into the application. I'm not going to spend as much time on it as I did with the rest of that, but just to give you a quick overview, this is where we work together with you guys on this step by step. So don't feel like you're alone. Page one looks exactly like the pre-app, except that, it talks about someone who is in responsible charge. And at that point, we may include, but don't wait for that to get started. Responsible charge is not something that should stop you from applying or getting into the stream. Page two, you need a purpose and need statement. We have lots of information about how to go about making a good one, but basically, this is not the right way to say it. This is the good way to say it. The purpose of this project is to address conflicts, crashes, and delays at this particular intersection. And you could improve on that actually by saying these are the types of crashes that are happening at this intersection. So that's a good idea of a purpose statement. Same thing here with need statement. It's funny, but this is the wrong way to say that. a better way might be, this is an area that serves a population that's having high crash incidents. In the past 5 years, there's been 8 serious injuries and 1 fatality. And maybe you could even add, like we said, to the purpose statement, you could add the types of crashes that are happening. So safety-based needs and purpose and needs. Guidance on how to do that. DOTD publishes some information about how to do that. That's the QR code to get there. We can share the PowerPoint with you, and you can have that to work with. This is what it looks like when you hit the QR code, but that's the document you're looking for. Page 3 of the application itself. The summary table, exact same thing as we were talking about before. Include a location map, one that shows all the roadways that are addressed, and then we're going to actually get down to one that has each particular roadway mapped out. But for now, just the summary location table and map. This is what that would look like as you would begin to fill it out. The name, the begin, the end. How is signalized, controlled. There's the map of all of the things that were in this particular application for DeSoto Parish. Pretty straightforward. We want to know if it's come from one of these particular documents that's already sort of vetted, the ones that we showed on the screen earlier today. And this is where you would give us that information, provide a copy, electronic copy, or a link. That would help us out a whole lot. If you have stakeholder support, like over here, Susan Mitchell, the safety coordinator for Monroe, endorsed this project that came from the District 05 Safety Investment Plan. And so just include a letter similar to those and make that an appendix. The more people you get involved in this, the better. It'll give you visibility. It'll, be a success story. It'll be, involving the folks that, it really matters, because those are the folks that are on the ground and using these roadways. So your regional planning commission, your parish government, the DOTD district, all of that. Letters of support, stakeholder support. In our program, because of the cost and the intricacies involved, we try and stay away from projects that are drainage projects, drainage heavy projects, or where we have to buy right away, or if there's a railroad involved. We can work with those situations, but we need to know that they're coming. So give us a yes, no, and maybe a little explanation if any of those things pop up. We also want to know that it's aligned with the strategic highway safety plan. The things that we're interested in addressing in that are intersection crashes, roadway departure crashes, and vulnerable road user crashes. So those are the big categories that SHSP supports, emphasis areas. So we need to know that. Here's kind of a little aside. DOTD pays for all the work, top to bottom. You may not want to necessarily take advantage of that and want to pay your own consulting engineer. And we wouldn't stop you from doing that. It's just you need to understand that that's 100% your responsibility, and then DOTD can work with it from there. But if you want to opt out, this is the opt-out form. Otherwise, DOTD is going to do everything for you. And we'll have a conversation if you think you fall into a category where you want to consider opting out. But most folks go with let's let DOTD do it top to bottom. We need a summary construction cost estimate to do the cost estimate, so that we can make sure it's under 500,000, or if it's over, we need to know what we're paying for and so forth. This gets a little detailed, but we can help you here to do this particular form, and it's we can show you where to go to get the information, and we can help you out. We can do the field work and help you count the number of signs that you're going to need and so forth and so on. But it's part of the application process that we need for budgeting purposes, and to make sure that we don't run into a cost benefit analysis, and if we do, exactly what the costs are going to be. So, and like I said, we can help with that. Don't feel intimidated. And then finally, we need the legal authority for the road owner, the parish or the municipality, to sign. I picked this one just because I like Mayor Friday Ellis's first name, and it is Friday. So we have one of these. That's what it looks like, but it says that he understands that the parish accepts the project back. It's on their roadway. They are responsible for going forward for that particular improvement to their roadways. And then you submit it to me. We like electronic. Don't necessarily need a hard copy because sometimes if there's a lot of roads, it gets kind of big. So we like electronic copies. We like Microsoft Word files more than PDFs in the sense that, if we need to make changes to the application, and usually there's a lot of back and forth and some changes that are required to make a good application better. So, and again, it's a collaborative thing between us helping you as the parish because it's your road. And so if we can get an electronic, a Word file, that's helpful. And that's my contact info. All right. So congratulations. You finished your application. Now what? Any questions on that before we move to the next section? And we're running out of time here. We're at an hour and 23 minutes. That can't be right. All right. Did anybody have a question for us?
There's no question at the moment.
Let's power through the end of this. It's only a couple more slides, and then we can do a just general talk after this. So project selection process. Okay, we have a project selection committee. It's made up of DOTD personnel from the safety section, some volunteers from different districts. FHWA is involved, Betsy and Mary Stringfellow and all of those folks usually send at least one representative. The Police Jury Association has a member that sits on the project selection committee, as does the Louisiana Municipal Association. So you have representation as a parish or a municipality making this application. And these guys have been really helpful. We've enjoyed the relationship that we've developed with them, and they like that we are, working specifically with their constituency. And so LPESA, Parish Engineers and Supervisors Association, that's really the guys who are on the ground, boots on the ground kind of folks that we like to work with and talk to. And it's their roads and they know what's going on. And they already have a full-time 40-hour-a-week job that usually takes more like 50 or 60 hours. And this is an added task to their workflow. And we understand that. We like to make it as easy as possible on them. But these guys are our bread and butter. We meet with them. We have conventions with them twice a year where we talk about all sorts of things in addition to just roadway safety. But that's a big part of it. And so we have kind of a network that we work with. And of course, some representatives from our office over here at LTAP sit on that project selection committee. Approvals of your application to move forward. Approval to move forward is subject to a feasibility study that DOTD does when they actually design the project, and they refine that cost estimate, and they look at the condition of your asphalt to see if it can sustain edge lines, or if the lanes are wide enough to provide edge lines and a center line, and so forth. So that's the next phase of that, the feasibility study, and then it starts. They start looking at their budgeting and their budget year, and it's important to keep your projects coming through this pipeline so that if you don't get funded in a budget year, it rolls to the next. But if you've got one funded and it comes out the other end, you have nothing in the pipe, you're waiting. And again, it's a 3 to 5 year process in some cases. So you want to keep that pipeline full. How are we evaluating these? How does the project selection committee evaluate those projects? We look at the crash history. We've kind of made that obvious so far. Severity. We're looking for injury and fatal crashes first. That doesn't mean that we're not looking at property damage only, but that's a little more proactive. So, and we have instances of roadways that, need help, and they do have fatal and severe crashes, and they're in the profile, and we need to work on them. So that's one of the factors. Overrepresented, elongated that word. Overrepresented crash categories, like, are there run off the road here? Is it an intersection related problem? What can we do to help? And what are the main causes of the crashes here? We like to look at other supporting data analysis. There can be like a road safety audit. There can be a plan that references this particular roadway and this particular need. So all of those other sources that we talked about, very helpful, gives you some weight to your application. Like I said, we try to stay away from having to buy right away or do drainage work or move utilities, although it doesn't kill your application. It definitely adds a level of complexity. And there's probably roadways out there that we can do that don't involve those, or we can steer you to a different program. SS4A allows you to buy right away, put in drainage, and do all sorts of things. So that's just one example of if you came to us with an application that didn't really fit because of these things, that we can steer you in a direction that it would. If you have a local road safety plan, that's obviously a big plus, as well as if you have stakeholder commitment, of course, you need that. It's your roadway. If y'all don't support it, we can't. And then the appropriate use of the proposed countermeasures, and we'll make sure that they fit, your application fits what the need is. Project implementation. This is the last piece of this. And basically, once it gets to DOTD, after we finish the application, passes through the project selection committee, it's sent to DOTD safety section where they do the heavy lifting. They do a feasibility study. It's performed by a consultant that they hired. They have the project kickoff meeting. It generates a detailed scope. They validate the cost estimate. They, talk about a project schedule. They go through all of what could happen, all the different scenarios, and the final report, gives the project recommendation, and it also helps you decide if more study is required, like in the case of a traffic study. And then finally, after it passes through that, it goes into design and construction, and that's handled by DOTD as well. They manage design and construction. The engineering design is done by DOTD, and then DOTD lets your project for construction and awards the contract. And it goes all the way through the construction, engineering, inspection, and finishes up the project. And all this while, you'll have someone who is in responsible charge from your parish, and they will be coordinating between DOTD and the parish so that both entities know what's going on and how the workflow is progressing. So all of that is pretty much what we had to say on this thing. We're at 1 hour and 29 minutes and 51 seconds. So I just squeezed it all in, but that's how you get a hold of me. This is a QR code that'll do the same. That might be a better option if you want to take a picture of that real quick, because that is the end of what I had to say for this particular webinar. And we hope to get lots of applications from you guys. We're here to help. And it's a great program. We need to, to really work it. And you guys are, our advocates in the jurisdictions and with the consulting engineers and the people that are interested in safety. You're doing a good work. You're saving lives, and this is how we can help in that regards. And if you guys can spread the word, we'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Leo. We still have plenty of time for questions if you guys
we'll stick around forever.
Yeah. So really, I know it seemed overwhelming, but really we want to make it easy on your end. So get that pre-app letter of intent completed. It's really just a 2-pager document. We've made it easier. We've narrowed it down from a 4-page document to now 3 pages. And really the last page is more on instructions and what we can offer you. as a technical assistance provider for local road safety program. So really the program is a mechanism for us to help the state's overall implementation of the strategic highway safety plan and ultimately leading us to destination zero deaths. So get that 2-pager completed on or before January of no, January 31st of 2025. That's like 3 months or so. So, and then if you have any questions after this virtual call, feel free to get in touch with Leo or Retta. He's your go-to person for local road safety program.
And we are recording this and we will make it available on our website so that if you know of anybody else that needs to get a 1 hour and 30-minute overview of exactly how things work, feel free to share that with them. We will come and sit down and do this with your local electeds. We will explain and tell them and show them the profiles and walk them through the whole thing. We're all about outreach. The heavy lifting, the engineering stuff comes, during the process, but we have DOTD to help us out with all of that. But with regard to the outreach, the more you spread the word, the better off we're going to be as a state. And hopefully we'll save some lives, bring those numbers down.
Right. All right.
Everybody signed in?
Yes, it doesn't look like we have any other questions. So thank you all so much for joining us today. I hope you all have a great weekend. We hope to hear from any of you. Get your project pre-app sent, and we're happy to help.
Thanks, folks. Y'all have a great day.
Thank you all.